Politics are the life form of any civilization, but modern ones are a bit.
I want milk, I want to be held, I want to be comforted. And if you do not do all these things immediately, I will.
But there always is Rome, that one big civilization covering up the Italian peninsula. But we aren't talking about its rise today, oh no. This first section is about its collapse. So Rome's continued expansion up the Italian peninsula was giving them a lot of money, but corruption and bribery were starting to become more and more far spread throughout the empire. Rich people bought votes, gave favors to friends. Now all this bribery and corruption was starting to anger the lower classes and cause them to lose trust in the Senate. Slaves would also be brought back from expansions, hurting the lower classes because it's pretty hard to compete with a farm when you are only one guy and they have 30 guys all owned by the same guy. And eventually they stopped invading places so they didn't have more slaves coming in, meaning they were losing money because they couldn't exploit slave labor. So they decided to tax the citizens more, and that always has never failed, right, Britain? And did I mention they didn't have a police force? Rome was getting very rampant, so the rich hired private armies to protect themselves, but eventually these private armies became so loyal to the rich person, they started to favor them over the country. The real fall started when Julius Caesar, Pompey the Great, and some guy named Marcus all made an alliance to rule Rome. But Marcus died in battle, so of course everyone decided to brutally murder each other in a civil war for control of Rome. Caesar won, and despite the fact that it goes against everything Rome stands for at the time, declared himself emperor. He then got brutally stabbed, and that was the end of the Roman Republic, because some guy named Augustus decided to take over as emperor after that, causing a long line of dynasties. They also had some empirical thing where they saw the emperors and the family as divine authority, but we're not going into that right now. My source is an article by students of history named The Decline of the Roman Republic. Now let's cut to the chase and see how they regulated free speech in those ancient civilizations. I will now read from a surviving law code of the ancient era that says, yes, in the Haiti laws it says, if anyone rejects the judgment of the king, his house will become a heap of ruins. Losing your house seems bad enough, but guess what the Hebrew Bible thinks in this matter? I really hope this verse is taken out of context. Let me read this alone. According to the Hebrew Bible, the punishment for cursing God and the king was stoning. As you can guess, you might get the impression that these aren't really nice people, but that's not the end of it. Oh no. Confucius, the great philosopher, said himself, quote unquote, let me find it. Yes. He advised against speaking to a greater man than yourself. Speak when he invites you, and your worth will be pleasing. Blah, 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 blah. He also stressed the importance of obedience towards rulers and superiors, asserting that it is unheard of for those who have no taste for defying authority to be keen on initiating rebellion. You think these would be sweet wares to China's first emperor, but he instead ordered all Confucian literature before his reign to be burned. With, I think is the, let me find the quote. In the emperor's own words, as quoted by ancient historian Sima Qian, I collected all the writings of all under heaven, and got rid of all that were useless. The chief minister elaborated that studying Confucian literature would throw people into confusion, and led them to reject the laws and teachings, disagreements they regard as noble, and they encourage all the lower orders to fabricate slander. apparently they would bury scholars either alive or dead if they were seen violating this prohibition. For slaves and women, it was especially restricted with the Sumerian code of Ir-Nammu from around 250 BCE. The world's oldest surviving law code decreed that if a slave woman curses someone acting with the authority of her mistress, they shall scour her mouth with 1 0.85 liters of salt. And the code of Hammurabi says that a slave owner should be able to it says that a slave owner should be able to cut off his slave's ears if they dare utter the words, "You are not my master." Now that was the end of section 2. Now let's get on to section 3. I sourced this from a Big Think article called "Roots of Free Speech: How Did Ancient Civilizations Regulate Speech?" Of speech, what's key takeaways says that in his new sources. It sources in it, but it's excerpted from Free Speech in History from Socrates to Social Media by Jacob Mkangaba. Copyright 2022. Available from Basic Books and imprint of Hatchet Book Group Inc. And there we go. That was corruption. Well, that was free speech in the fall of the Roman Empire. I've already covered corruption, if you're wondering. I only did the fall of the Roman Republic, and that has a lot of corruption in it.